Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to another Temple 420 Bible study. This is Brother Chapin Walton, and I don't know who might show up today. I always invite everybody. You can find that information on Facebook. I intend to get it on the website at some point, and it's always viewable on YouTube and Rumble. And then the Saturday Sasses are always available as podcasts. Today, we're going to go through Genesis 24, the story about Isaac and Rebecca, and go through those here with you. As normal, here, let's start out with a prayer for everybody who is watching and those who are studying with us, and especially when you guys watch it later or whenever you end up watching it. Dear Almighty, living God, the God of all gods, Yahweh, thank you for bringing us the biblical word and the living word to give us this information to help us study you and your ways, those who followed your ways, and help us follow those ways. Help these people who see this strive to have discernment and find out things on their own. If I misinterpret things or go in wrong directions, may they be able to read and study it and figure out, be compelled to find out what's going on here, as that's the intent that we have with you and your word, is just to share it and get people enticed. May they have those rumblings and love for you. In Jesus' name, Yeshua. Amen. Yeah, and I had quite a few people watch last week's sessions here, and I prayed in that too. I don't know that everything I go through is exactly right, my interpretation of that. I don't want you to follow after me. I'm a brother like your family. You need to take these words, discern them yourself, seek after God, and figure out what is righteous. He will tell you what's righteous. Sometimes I don't interpret it right as I'm reading it here, and there's even like later, like I could have thrown in those points and stuff like that. I'm just really looking though to help people who haven't got to read the Bible, get to be able to read it with someone, to get to understand it a bit better. Those who are more advanced can think and ponder on some of the ideas that we bring up and see if that's the right things and how that goes with their spirit, because it seems like everybody I've even had in here to have other discussions has a different interpretation of it, and so do each one of you viewers. And I appreciate when you put down and put your interpretation. I'll try to comment on every post that I have there. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any of that here with it. Yeah, and so let me pull up Genesis 24 here. Also, I had some comments too that were inquiring on which version this is. This is one that I actually like. It's called the Kodesh Scriptures, which goes back and where they translated the name of God into YHWH, which later became Lord. They go back in this one and work on it to have it restored back based off of other versions to go to the master Yahuwah, who is Yahweh, the master of them all, and his son, Yeshua, Jesus, as Yeshua in here. So that's where you'll kind of see a little bit of difference. I had somebody asking exactly why this one was like that, but that's really the intent on this. So it's clear when it's God speaking, it's Christ speaking, which I like a really lot because we get the actual word from God with that. Oftentimes people put in red Christ's writings, but I think what God told everybody was just as valuable in what he got. Genesis 24:1. Now Abraham was very old, and the master Yahuwah had blessed Abraham in all things. Abraham said to his servant, the one who was oldest of his household and who was in charge of all that he had, put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the master Yahuwah, the Elohim of heaven and the Elohim of earth, that you will not get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among those who I make my home, but you will go into the country and to my relatives and get a wife for my son Isaac. The same here with Elohim. Elohim's often converted to God, or little e is gods or angels, messengers, various things like that. So they restored back these to be the Elohim when it referred to God. Some people also say that God was a Canaanite god they followed, so they don't like those, but I think more is your intent in trying to follow God. I will make some stories about that and some breakdown on that here in the future. I've got a list of things coming. So anything else anybody's interested in, please feel free to throw those in the comments and let us know. Genesis 24:5. And the servant said to him, what if the woman is not willing to follow me to this land? Must I take your son back to the land which you came? Abraham said to him, make sure that you do not take my son back there. The master Yahuwah, the Elohim of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who has promised me with a solemn oath, saying, to your offspring I will give this land. He will send his angel before you, and you will get a wife for my son from them. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. You are not to take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. The servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed. He took with him all kinds of gifts from his master, and he departed and went into the region of Abram Naharaim to the city of Nor. He made the camels kneel down outside the city by the well of water, and it was in the evening time that the women go out to draw the water. Then he said, O Master Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, grant me success today and show the covenant faithfulness to my master Abraham. Look here, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let it happen like this. When I say to the young woman, please lower your pitcher so that I may drink, and she says, drink, and I will water your camels too. Let her be the one that you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I will know that you have shown covenant faithfulness to my master. I think this one's also really helpful in the point too, because I've noticed that when you call out God, Yahweh, and refer to him about who he's the God of the Jews, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, Noah. When you bring these things in, Yeshua, Jesus, all of the names, especially when you put those together like that, he really hears and works with you. He knows that you're calling out to him. Seems to make him glad. I've seen it be very helpful in these kind of situations. So I would definitely say that that's a good hint that they're giving you with that in this story. It came about that even before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebeccah came out with her water pitcher on her shoulder. Rebeccah was born to Bethuel, the son of Micaiah, and the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother. The young woman was very beautiful and a virgin. No man had slept with her. She went down to the spring and filled her pitcher and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please give me a little drink of the water from your pitcher." She said, "Drink, my master." And then she quickly let down her pitcher on her hand and gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, "I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking." So she hurried and emptied her pitcher into the trough, and then ran again to the well to draw water, and drew water for all of his camels. The man watched in silence to see whether the master Yahuwah had prospered in his journey or not. As the camels finished drinking, the man brought out a gold nose ring, weighing half a shekel, and 2 gold bracelets for her arms, weighing 10 shekels, and asked, "Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" This is another one of those verses, too, that I find interesting. There's a lot of people against nose rings, but a lot of times in the Bible, Yahweh brings up honoring people with nose rings, putting nose rings in his children. So I don't think they're the greatest style to me, but I think if God approves them and he's giving them to people, I talk less on those kind of things. If that's what people want to do with it, don't. I've got too much trouble with my nose when I scratch it. I don't need something in there like that. Then she said to him, "I'm the daughter of Behuel, the son of Micah, whom she bore to Nahor." And also said to him, "We have plenty of both straw and feed, and also room for you to spend the night." Then the man bowed down and worshipped the master Yahuwah. He said, "Blessed be the master Yahuwah, the Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his covenant faithfulness to his trustworthiness towards my master. As for me, the master Yahuwah has led me directly to the house of my master's relatives." Then the young woman ran and told her mother's household about these things. Now Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. Laban ran to the man who was out at the road by the spring, when he had seen the nose rings and the bracelets on his sister's arms, and heard the words of Rebekah his sister. "This is what the man said to me." He went to the man, and behold, he was standing by the camels at the spring. Then Laban said, "Come, you blessed of the master Yahuwah, why are you standing outside? We've prepared the house and the place for the camels." So the man came into the house and unloaded his camels. The camels were given straw and feed, and water was provided to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. They set the food before him and said, "I will not eat until I have said what I have to say." So Laban said, "Speak on." He said, "I am Abraham's servant. The master Yahuwah has blessed my master very much, and he has become great. He has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold, male servants and female servants, and camels and donkeys. Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given her everything that he owns to him. My master made me swear, saying, 'You must not get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I make my home. Instead, you must go to my father's family and to my relatives and get a wife for my son.' I said to my master, 'Perhaps the woman will not follow me.' But he said to me, the Master Yahuwah, before whom I walk, will send his angel with you, and he will prosper your way, so that you may get a wife for my son among my relatives and from my father's family line. But you will be free from my oath if you come to my relatives, and they will not give her to you. Then you will be free from my oath. So I arrived today at the spring and said, O Master Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you do intend to make my journey successful, here I am, standing by the spring of water. Let the young woman who chooses to come out to draw water, the woman to whom I say, please give me a little water from your pitcher to drink. The woman who says to me, drink and I will draw also for her camels. Let her be the woman whom you, the Master Yahuwah, has chosen for my master's son. Even before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebeccah came out with her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. So I said to her, please give me a drink. She quickly lowered the pitcher from her shoulder and said, drink. I will give you your camel's water also. So I drank, and she watered the camels also. I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, to whom Micah bore him. And then I put the ring in her nose and the bracelets on her arms. Makes me wonder if she had a nose ring already, if he just replaced it, or that was like just an instant piercing on the spot. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but these are also not Yahweh, because some people said the W is new too and didn't exist. So the particular ones who broke this down did not put it in there. But what my understanding, these are based off also the Quran scrolls, the Peshitta and Aramaic style translations of the Eastern, which seem to make more sense and fit more with the Aramaic that I understand a lot of that to be and that Christ spoke. Then I bowed down and I worshiped the Master Yahuwah and blessed the Master Yahuwah, the Elohim of my master, who had led me by the right way to find the daughter of the master's relative for his son. Now, therefore, if you are prepared to treat my master with my family faithfulness and my trustworthiness, tell me. But if not, tell me so that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing has come from the Master Yahuwah. We cannot speak to you either bad or good. Look, Rebeccah is before you. Take her and go, so that she may be the wife of your master's son, as the Master Yahuwah has spoken. Then Abraham's servant heard the words. He bowed himself down to the ground to the Master Yahuwah, and the servant brought out the articles of silver and articles of gold and clothing and gave them to Rebeccah. He also gave precious gifts to her brother and to her mother. Then he and the men who were with him ate and drank. They stayed there overnight, and when they arose in the morning, he said, Send me away to my master. Her brother and mother said, Let the young woman stay with us for a few more days, at least 10. After that, she may go. But then he said to him, Do not hinder me, since the Master Yahuwah has prospered my way. Send me on my way so that I may go to my master. Then they said, We will call the young woman and ask her. So they called Rebeccah and asked her, and she said, and asked her, Will you go with this man? She replied, I will go. So they sent their sister Rebeccah along with her female servant, on her journey with Abraham's servant and his men. They blessed Rebekah and said to her, "Our sister, may you be the mother of 1,000 or 10,000s, and may your descendants possess the gate of those who hate them." Which, to my understanding on that directly relates to the promise of Abraham, of course, with the thousands and 10,000s being related in, and this being Isaac. But then also the descendants, which would be Israel, possessing the gate of those who hate them, which would be one of those gates in Israel. I can't say which one, eastern, western gate, one of those like that. And this was way time before that even happened. When Rebekah arose, she and her servant girls mounted the camels and followed the man. This the servant took Rebekah and went on his way. Now Isaac was living in Negev and had just returned from Bir La Lohore. I said that right. Isaac went out to meditate in the field in the evening and looked up, and he saw, and behold, the camels were coming. This is actually interesting by one of the notes I saw here when I was actually looking at the commentaries. According to that commentary, when Isaac would have been out meditating, he would be out meditating and praying and talking to God at that time too. So it's really fitting that the camels show up and start coming at that time. It also mentioned in the commentary how that's not really something you see, unfortunately, with a lot of the mainstream people. A lot of them don't sit back, meditate on the word, take their good times out of prayer day. They unfortunately just attend like one day a week, maybe say prayers here and there. Don't do like they back did. Some do. I've ran into some that do, and it definitely helps with a lot of that. Sometimes I've needed to meditate on the word and do that too. And I think it's definitely really helpful with that and really revealing. It'll get you on the path to follow Yahweh and get that way. Rebekah looked, and when she saw Isaac, she jumped down from the camel. She said to her servant, "Who is that man who is walking in the field to meet us?" The servant said, "That is my master." So she took her veil and covered herself. The servant recounted to Isaac all the things that he had done. And then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Let's see here. 25 sounds good here. Abraham took another wife, and her name was Keturah. She bore to him Zimron, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan became the father of Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were the Assyrian people, the Latush people, the Limim people. Midian's sons were Ephnoth, Epher, Hanorak, Abedida, and Elida. All these were Korah's descendants. Abraham gave all that he owned to Isaac. However, while he was still living, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them to the lands to the east, away from Isaac and his son. These were the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175 years. Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age, a man with a full life, and he was gathered to his people. Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hethite, which is near Mamre. Which actually 2 weeks back I read through that story. If anybody's more interested in that, that was back in Genesis 2021, I believe. But the episode before last episode, which is the canvas episode before that, we continued with the prior of this. If anybody wants to go back, I will stick it up in the corner at the end of the video. So you can always skip to the end and get that, or get that anytime you want. It should also be in a playlist on the channel, and I try to keep that easy there to find. This field Abraham had bought from the sons of Heth. Abraham was buried there with Sarah, his wife. That was actually where the story was. It was about Abraham getting the burial place for his wife, Sarah. After the death of Abraham, Elohim blessed Isaac, his son, and Isaac lived near Beer Lahoroi, and these were the descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's son, who Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's servant, bore to Abraham. And these are actually all the ones that end up being the Middle Eastern Palestinian Muslims that we talked about in prior episodes as well. These were the names of Ishmael's sons, according to their birth order. Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Peter, Abiel, Mebisam, Misma, Duma, Masa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Lemeketema. These were Ishmael's sons, and these were their names by their villages and by their encampments. 12 princes according to their tribes. These were the years of their life of Ishmael, 137 years. He breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. They lived from Havoth to Shur, which is Egypt, as one goes towards Assyria. They lived in hostility with each other, which is the whole thing where it relates nowadays, because they are pretty violent with each other. They have several different breakdowns on the Muslim Brotherhood, and they don't like the Muslim sides of it, the Shiites and the Sunnis. I think there's several others with that, but they continue to live in hostility against each other over there. And as it said in the Bible, that they would act like donkeys to men and be trouble a few verses back when we were in those. They continue to be. These were the events concerning Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham became the father of Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took his wife Rebeccah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Pada Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Master Yahuwah for his wife because she was childless. And the Master Yahuwah answered his prayer, and Rebeccah, his wife, conceived. The children struggled together within her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" When she went to ask the Master Yahuwah about this, the Master Yahuwah said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples will be separated from within you. One will be stronger than the other, and the other will serve the younger." When it was time to give birth, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first child came out red all over like a hairy garment. They called him Esau. After that, his brother came out. His hand was grasping Esau's heel, and he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when his wife bore them, and as the boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a quiet man who spent his time in the tents. Now Isaac loved Esau because he ate the animals that he had hunted, but Rebecca loved Jacob. Jacob cooked some of the stew. Esau came in from the field, and he was weak from hunger. Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me with that red stew. Please, I'm exhausted." That is why his name was Edom. Jacob said, "First, sell me your birthright." Esau said, "Look, I'm about to die. What good is my birthright to me?" Jacob said, "First, swear to me." So Esau swore an oath, and that way he sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob gave Esau the bread and the stew of lentils, and ate and drank. And he got up and went on his way. In a manner, In this manner, Esau despised his birthright. It's interesting too. My brother was the one that actually gave me the lentil soup recipe. Which I'm the older, hairy brother, so he gave me lentil soup. All this hair. He kind of has a. He doesn't have a beard anymore, but he did a little bit. Maybe not a good interpretation here. I think one more chapter would be all right here. Now a famine happened in the land. Besides the first famine that had been in the days of Abraham, Isaac went to Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, at Gerar. Now the master Yahuwah appeared to him and said, "Do not go down into Egypt. Live in the land that I tell you to live in. Stay in this very land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your descendants I will give these lands, and I will fulfill the oath that I have swore to Abraham your father. I will multiply your descendants like the stars of heaven, and I will give to you the descendants of all these lands. Through your descendants, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. I do this because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my instructions, my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah." Laws and instructions is what Torah means with that. That's why Jews keep the first 5 books of the Bible, and since that's full of the laws and instructions, they call it the Torah. So Isaac settled in Gerar. When the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, "She is my sister." He feared to say, "She is my wife," because he thought the men of this place would kill me to get Rebecca because she is so beautiful. After Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, happened to look out of the window. He saw Isaac was caressing Rebecca, his wife. And Abimelech called out to Isaac and said, "Look, certainly, she is your wife. Why do you say she is my sister?" Isaac said to him, "Because I thought someone might kill me to get to her." Self-preservation, like his dad did there. His dad did that several times. But also, to my understanding, she was his stepsister or something like that. Interesting to me that Isaac goes ahead and does the same kind of thing here. Abimelech said, "What is this that you've done to us? One of the people might easily have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech warned of all the people and said, "Whoever touches this man or his wife will surely be put to death." It's interesting how that's really changed now, too. There's people that think that's a cool thing to do that or go ahead and do that nowadays. They wouldn't be ashamed or have the guilt that they have there. Isaac planted crops in that land and reaped them the same year 100-fold because the master Yahuwah blessed him. And the man became rich, and he grew more and more until he became very great. He had many sheep and cattle and a large household. The Philistines envied him now all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father. The Philistines stopped filling them up with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we." What was I here? So much mightier than we. So Isaac departed from there and settled in the valley of Gerar and lived there. Once again, Isaac dug out the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father. The Philistines had stopped them up after Abraham's death, and Isaac called the wells by the same names his father had called them. When Isaac's servants dug in the valley, they found there was a well of flowing water. The herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen and said, "The water is ours." So Isaac called that well Issac, because they had quarreled with him. Then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that too. So he gave it the name Sidnah. He left us there and dug another well, but they did not quarrel over that one. So he called it Rehoboth. And there he said, "Now the master Yahuwah has made room for us, and we will prosper in the land." Then Isaac went up from Beersheba. The master Yahuwah appeared to him the same night and said, "I am the Elohim of your father. Do not fear, for I am with you, and I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake." Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the master Yahuwah. There he pitched his tent, and his servants dug a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar with Azua, his friend, and Pichol, the captain of his army. Isaac said to them, "Why are you coming to me, since you hate me and that you've sent me away from you?" Then they said, "We have clearly seen that the master Yahuwah has been with you. So we decided that there should be an oath between us. Yes, between us and you. So let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we have not harmed you, and as we have treated you well, and you have sent you in the way in peace. Indeed, you are blessed by the master Yahuwah." So Isaac made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. They rose early in the morning and swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them away, and they left him in peace. That same day, Isaac's servants came and told him about a well that they had digged, and they said, "We have found water." He called the well Sheba. So the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he took a wife, Judith, the daughter of Beri, the Hittite, and also Basemath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. They brought sorrow to Isaac and Rebekah. Not sure what they brought sorrow for, but that's interesting. One I never knew with that here. As that goes, we are just about at 40 minutes, and I think that was a pretty good thing with that here. I'll give you guys a closing prayer here. Feel free once again to follow at temple420.org. We have a Facebook page that's newly open and public. And we always welcome people to come study the Bible with us. And we have a Saturday discussion every week where we bring various people together, read the word, and just have a discussion over that on the Saturday Sabbath. Dear Almighty Yahweh, Yahuwah, thank you for the blessings you give us. Thank you for sending your Son for salvation and your word to us so that we may study and follow in the line and do those things that are appeasing to you and bring blessing to you and glory as being your children and doing things in righteousness. Help the people who are watching be interested in following your word and seeking you out. May your word go with blessings to those who are out there and have ears to listen and are interested in your word. Thank you for attending and following us and checking us out. We'll be here every week. God bless. Shalom.